The crystal chandeliers of the Grand Meridian Hotel cast dancing shadows across marble floors as Emma stood frozen, her heart shattering into a million pieces. There, in the center of the opulent lobby, stood Marcus, her ex-boyfriend, with his arm wrapped possessively around a woman dripping in designer labels and condescension. Emma. Marcus's voice carried that familiar mockery she'd grown to despise during their relationship. Still wearing that same dress from 2 years ago? Some things never change. The woman beside him laughed, a sharp sound that cut through the ambient music. Emma's fingers trembled as she clutched her worn purse, the interview invitation letter inside now feeling like a cruel joke. She'd come to this 5-star hotel for a job opportunity. Her last hope, after months of rejection, only to run into the man who destroyed her confidence and left her when she needed him most. "At least I earned everything I have," Emma whispered, her voice barely audible. But Marcus heard. Earned. He stepped closer, his cologne expensive and suffocating. "You mean that tiny apartment you share with 3 roommates? That minimum-wage coffee shop job? Face it, Emma. You were always meant to struggle. I upgraded." He gestured to his companion, who smirked with practiced cruelty. Tears burned behind Emma's eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of him. She turned to leave, her dignity the only thing she had left, when a voice smooth as silk and commanding as thunder resonated through the lobby. "There you are, darling." Emma's breath caught as a tall figure approached, his presence commanding immediate attention from everyone within sight. Alexander Chen. Even Emma, who barely followed business news, recognized the face that graced Forbes' covers, the self-made CEO who built a tech empire before turning 30. The millionaire philanthropist whose charitable foundations helped thousands. And he was walking directly toward her. "I've been looking everywhere for you," Alexander said, his dark eyes warm, yet carrying an undertone that suggested he knew exactly what he was doing. Before Emma could process what was happening, he gently took her hand, his touch surprisingly tender. "The reservation is under my name. Shall we?" Emma's mind raced. This had to be a mistake. But then she caught the flicker in his eyes, a silent message, an offering of rescue, and something inside her understood. I'm sorry I'm late," she heard herself say, her voice steadier than she felt. Marcus's expression shifted from smug superiority to confused recognition. "Wait, Alexander Chen." The Alexander Chen. Alexander's gaze finally acknowledged Marcus, cool and dismissive. "I'm sorry, do I know you?" The question hung in the air like a verdict. "I'm Marcus Wellington, from Wellington Enterprises. We've met at—" "I meet many people," Alexander interrupted smoothly, his attention returning to Emma. "But I only remember the ones worth remembering." His thumb traced a gentle circle on Emma's hand, a gesture so intimate yet comforting that she felt her panic beginning to ease. "Come, Emma, we have much to discuss about your new position." "New position," Emma repeated, her voice barely a whisper. "As my director of community outreach, we spoke about it last week, remember?" The lie flowed effortlessly from his lips, but his eyes told her to trust him, to play along. Marcus's companion tugged his arm, her interest in the confrontation waning now that the power dynamic had shifted so dramatically. But Marcus remained rooted, his face reddening with humiliation. "Emma could never. She doesn't have the qualifications. I don't recall asking for your assessment," Alexander cut in, his voice now carrying an edge of steel. "And I certainly don't make hiring decisions based on the opinions of—" He paused, looking Marcus up and down with barely concealed disdain. Strangers in hotel lobbies. The watching crowd, because there was always a crowd around Alexander, Chen murmured with interest. Several phones were already out, capturing what would surely become social media fodder within the hour. Emma felt the weight of expectations, of judgment, of years of being told she wasn't enough. And then she felt something else, Alexander's hand squeezing hers gently, anchoring her to this moment, this impossible kindness from a stranger. "Mr. Chen," she said softly, Finding her voice, I should probably... Please, he interrupted, his expression softening as he turned to face her fully. Act like you love me, please. The words were quiet, meant only for her, and they carried a vulnerability that shocked her. Just for tonight, let me help you. You deserve better than this humiliation. Those words, you deserve better, broke something open inside. Emma, when had anyone last said that to her? When had anyone seen beyond her worn dress and empty wallet to the person beneath? Why? She whispered, tears finally spilling over. Why would you help me? Alexander's smile was genuine, transforming his powerful features into something gentler, more human. Because 3 years ago, I stood in a lobby much like this one, wearing a suit I'd borrowed, waiting for an interview that would change my life. And someone showed me kindness when I needed it most. That person taught me that true wealth is unmeasured in bank accounts. It's measured in the impact we have on others. He released her hand only to offer his arm instead. So, Emma, will you have dinner with me? Not as a pretense, not as revenge against someone who never deserved you anyway, but because I genuinely would like to hear your story. And perhaps share mine. Emma glanced back at Marcus, who stood speechless, his companion now insisting they leave. She could end this moment with a sharp word, a triumphant look. But as she gazed up at Alexander, this powerful man who'd chosen compassion over indifference, she realized revenge held no appeal anymore. I'd like that, she said, accepting his arm. As they walked toward the hotel's exclusive restaurant, Alexander leaned down slightly. For what it's worth, that dress is lovely. It takes real confidence to value substance over labels. That's refreshing in my world. I didn't have a choice, Emma admitted. This is all I have. No, Alexander corrected gently. You chose dignity over debt. You chose authenticity over appearances. Those were brave choices, Emma. Don't diminish them. Over dinner in a private alcove overlooking the city lights, Emma learned that Alexander's offer of employment hadn't been entirely fabricated. His foundation genuinely needed someone to head community outreach, someone who understood struggle, who knew what it meant to need help and be turned away. I've been searching for months, Alexander explained, his chopsticks pausing over his untouched plate. Everyone who applies has Ivy League credentials and zero understanding of the communities we serve. But you, when I saw you in that lobby, standing tall despite everything, I saw someone with the most important qualification, genuine empathy born from experience. You don't even know me, Emma protested. I know enough. Alexander set down his chopsticks, his expression serious. I know you came to a place that intimidated you because you redetermined to improve your situation. I know you endured humiliation with grace. I know you chose honesty over pretense when you could have let me continue the charade. Character reveals itself in crisis, Emma, and yours shines. What if I'm not qualified for this job? What if you're exactly who we need? Alexander countered. Look, I'm not offering charity. I'm offering opportunity. You'll work harder than you've ever worked. You'll earn every penny. But you'll also have the chance to make a real difference in people's lives, people like you, who just need someone to believe in them. Emma felt tears threatening again, but these were different tears of hope rather than hurt. Why did you really help me tonight? She asked. The truth. Alexander was quiet for a moment, his gaze distant. Because I saw my sister in you. She was once mocked by a man who thought her value came from her wardrobe rather than her worth. She didn't have anyone to stand beside her that day. She internalized his cruelty, and it took years for her to recover her confidence. His eyes met Emma's, intense and sincere. I can't change her past, but maybe I could change your present. One act of kindness, that's all it takes to alter someone's trajectory. The evening unfolded like a dream. Emma feared waking from. They talked until the restaurant staff politely hinted at closing time. Alexander shared stories of his own struggles, the investors who'd mocked his vision, the failures that preceded his success, the loneliness that came with achievement. And Emma shared her story to not just the hardship, but the hope. The way she volunteered at community centers, despite her own struggles, the neighborhood kids she tutored for free, the dreams she'd refused to abandon, even when the world suggested she should. "You're already doing the work," Alexander observed with admiration. "You just need the platform to do it on a larger scale." As he walked her to her car, a decade-old sedan that sputtered apologetically, Alexander handed her a business card. "Come to my office Monday morning. We'll discuss details, salary, benefits, your vision for the program. Come as yourself, Emma. That's who I'm hiring." "I don't know how to thank you," Emma said, emotion thick in her voice. "Thank me by being extraordinary at this job," Alexander replied, "and by remembering this moment when you have the chance to help someone else." Kindness isn't meant to be hoarded. It's meant to be multiplied. 3 months later, Emma stood in a conference room presenting her community outreach initiative to Alexander's board of directors. Her presentation was compelling, her passion undeniable. She wore a new professional outfit purchased with her first paycheck, but more importantly, she wore confidence earned through proving herself daily. Alexander watched from the back of the room, his chest tight with pride. Emma had exceeded every expectation, her programs already changing lives across 3 cities. After the presentation, as board members congratulated her, Emma caught Alexander's eye. The gratitude in her gaze needed no words. But it was the Instagram post she shared later that truly captured the moment, a side-by-side photo. Her in the hotel lobby that fateful night. Tears on her cheeks, and another from today's presentation, beaming with achievement. The caption read, "3 months ago, a stranger chose kindness over indifference and changed my life. Today, I'm paying it forward through the Chen Foundation's Community Outreach Program. To everyone struggling, you are worthy of kindness, deserving of opportunity, and capable of extraordinary things. Your current circumstance is not your final destination." And to Alexander Chen, "Thank you for seeing me when I couldn't see myself." The post went viral, inspiring thousands with its message of hope and human connection. And somewhere in the city, Marcus scrolled past it, finally understanding what he'd lost, not Emma as a girlfriend, but the chance to be someone who lifts others rather than tears them down. True wealth, he was learning too late, isn't found in designer labels or luxury cars. It's found in the lives we touch, the kindness we extend, and the legacy of compassion we leave behind.